Robert, how are you?
Hi, Elizabeth. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just preparing for a nice heat wave here in Colorado. So,
Oh, really? Where are you in Colorado?
I live in Boulder, Colorado. So, usually I would say the high is in the 80s. Once it gets to 90, it feels hot. But yeah, the next few days, say 100. So, got the window closed and the AC on. It's usually enjoy some fresh air, but we'll be all right. Where are you located?
Perfect. I'm in Chicago, but as you know, we're working on home services, so we've got lots of heating and cooling companies. So hopefully that heat wave is continuing to head to the East Coast where we have our locations.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, I appreciate you joining, Elizabeth. How's the week going so far?
Good. Yeah, been a good week so far. Um,
Flying by.
yeah, it's been. I'm excited for tomorrow to be Friday.
I know, right? And we just had a long weekend, but it still feels like you need another.
Yeah.
But uh, but I'm glad we could both make some time, Elizabeth. First off, thanks for I know it was a little over a month ago, I think, we're connected via email, so appreciate you responding there and scheduling this time. But just to kind of set the stage, really goal of this call, I want to make sure I answer any questions you have, learn a little bit more about your marketing initiatives there at ACE and where, youth sports might fit in. I know I'll have some questions for you, and again, I want to make sure I answer any questions you have. I know you said yesterday you have 30 minutes, so I will make sure to do my best to stay within that 30 minutes for you. But then I would say love to save the last 5 minutes or so just to discuss next steps and kind of where we can go after this call, if that all sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'd love to pass to you, Elizabeth, and maybe understand what caught your eye in that email, kind of what excited you maybe about Team Snap and some questions you might have off the top.
Yeah, so I mean, I use TeamSnap. I have three kids, and so they're T-balls on TeamSnap, and then I use
Awesome.
TeamSnap for Girl Scout troop that I run. So I'm familiar with the app. And then my role at Ace Home Services, we're building out our you're familiar, I'm sure, with Ace retail stores, right? Like the brick and mortar store that you go to. But we're building out our home services presence where you can call, like right now in Colorado, you can call someone to your house to do handyman services. We have handyman presence there. And then building out that you could call someone to fix your HVAC, to fix your electrical plumbing. So we're building that out across the country. And I work on our local marketing. So working on how do we establish that connection with the community. So I think it's like a really interesting potential way to target hyper local communities. And that's why I was interested in learning more.
Cool, cool. Yeah, it's really helpful. So just to make sure I'm understanding, so obviously I know Ace Hardware. My nephew's
Mhm.
name is Ace, which is funny enough,
Nice.
but I know of Ace Hardware. And if I'm understanding correctly, is this something a little bit newer that you're focusing on to get
Mhm.
people to understand that they can come to the home and provide these home services? That's maybe if you could just help me understand your role specifically. Is that just the main focus?
Yeah. So I used to work on our retail side and now I've transitioned to this home services side that we're launching. So we like acquired, um, we have 400 handyman locations and then we've acquired now like 16 heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical locations. And we're currently in the process of rebranding those to Ace Hardware Home Services. So they were like functioning locations that, had 30 plumbing trucks running that we're now going to brand as Ace Hardware Home Services. So as we're kind of launching in these new communities, we're, sponsoring local community centers and putting up banners for local sports teams, making sure we get our name out there as the home service
Yeah.
representation. So that's where it sounded like with Team Snap, there would be some like hyper targeting. If we said we're launching in Golden, Colorado, we want to be, top of mind for people in Golden specifically, like we can do that, right?
Yeah, the short answer to that is absolutely. Yeah, we definitely do have that hyper local targeting, but that's really helpful to know. So it sounds like with, obviously, as we said, people know Ace Hardware. So are there specific like home services stores that you guys are purchasing and buying, and then like you said, you're just rebranding it to be Ace Home Services or Ace Hardware Home Services?
Yeah. So like I was just talking to our location in New Jersey, that's Clay's Climate Control. They do heating and air. They've been around for 25 years. In the next few months, we're going to be rebranding them to Ace Hardware Home Services.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful and really exciting too. We work with large retail brands, so I was kind of thinking of the Ace Hardware side, but now hearing this, we also work a lot with home services, right? And I think, a lot of the regional and national players that find a lot of success are those home services, are like telecom, really anything where you're trying to get in front of families and people that own homes, right? So that's
Mhm.
where we're really able to help brands. So. First, it sounds like you obviously know the app, so hopefully that will help make sure we stay within the time here. I don't have to help you understand why people are using the app. But another interesting thing that we can dive into is our sponsorship side. So you mentioned when you guys are going into Golden, Colorado or new areas that you're expanding into, you're currently, trying to have those community initiatives. So I can go into how we can help there, but just curious to understand maybe how you currently go about um, doing those initiatives? Like, are you calling into specific leagues? Like, if you're trying to do it more at scale, what does that process look like for you guys currently to have those initiatives?
So we've got, I have some like marketing coordinators at each of the locations. And so those marketing coordinators are helping to get those local sponsorships. And yeah, it is like calling the local high school or, in some cases, some of them have existing relationships. They've been in the community for 25 years. So they're already sponsoring the local high school. And so it's like updating the branding there. And then sometimes it's just like calling it and seeing what's available.
Cool. Okay. And then so specifically for what you're doing, you're heading this whole department with home services. And is there like multiple, I know you mentioned Golden, like are you guys looking to be able to have that hyper local feel, but is there some scale involved that you guys are looking to achieve?
Yeah, well, the scale would be like, I mean, eventually, like we're moving towards wanting to have like a national scale. Right now, we have certain zip codes. I have a list of 300 zip codes that I would love to target and have like ads there.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So I guess just to give you a quick overview based off what you're saying. So two different ways that we target families, right? The first way is what you're used to, right? Utilizing the TeamSnap app. We're able to have different display ads, video ads, that are on the home screen, that are interstitials, that are find a location, a lot of different placements that I can show you here shortly. But that's the digital side, but the other part of it, which is more allows us to get more zip code, right? So I would say digitally, when you're getting within the app, it's most successful to do it at a DMA level. However, if it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of zip codes, I would say it just struggles when a brand is like, here, we just want to target digitally in this one zip code. Then it's like, we're really limiting the amount of people we can reach. However, when it's a big chunk, like you're saying, I would say we can look into specifically zip code. Usually digitally is at the DMA level. But with all that being said, what brands are able to do, similar to Ace Home Services here, is you're able to target them digitally on the app, kind of have like that halo effect, but then get within the communities specifically to zip codes, right? Or for you to be able to tell us, hey, here's these 50 locations or whatever it is. We want to sponsor one league within 5 miles of all these locations, right? So then our team does all that work for you. We just come to you for the creative and essentially where you're looking to target. And then we'll
Mm-hmm.
come back to you and say, hey, we have X amount of leagues that we could sponsor. We can get Ace Home Services logos on jerseys of X amount of kids. We could have X amount of game signage. We can have emails sent out directly from the commissioners of those leagues. So think of us as we're, the white glove service, like you just let us know where you're targeting. We come to you, of course, with a detailed proposal, right? Estimated impressions, all the different leagues that we could sponsor, the amount of leagues and the assets. And then we're able to focus either on fall, winter, or spring season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot. I could also share my screen, break it down, but just curious based on that, what questions you might have. I know we have about 20 minutes. I want to make sure. Does
Yeah.
that at least make sense how I put it? I know I was talking a lot.
Yeah. No, I think that's really interesting because, like, so the digital ads that you can target at a DMA level, where you're saying, or there's this sort of like white glove service of getting you in front of the specific teams, like a next level of connecting with like listeners. Okay, so yeah, I think
Yes,
it's very
sure.
interesting. It's helpful. Yeah.
Excuse me. So yeah, I was just going to share my screen to maybe give you a visual, but
Mm-hmm.
before I dive in, maybe to help it make more sense. So When you think of onsite, so that's where TeamSnap really, really separates itself from like a competitor like a Sports Engine or a Game Changer or something like that, is not only do we have the highest user base and be able to reach them digitally, but we acquired a company over a year and a half ago. Wow, time's flying. But it used to be a company that was called Leagueside. And that company essentially for 10 years was doing what your team is doing at the local level, but they worked many years to be able to scale that. So then, because we purchased that company, it all became part of TeamSnap, and it allowed us to access 25,000 plus leagues that they were partnered with. So now TeamSnap, on top of the 25 million users, we have these 25,000 leagues that we're able to just go to them, have those relationships, say, hey, we're looking to sponsor XYZ league. We want to be the only retailer, right? We want to be the only home service brand, right? And then we're going to go match those leagues that fit with exactly what you're looking for, whether it is, hey, we want to focus on leagues within 5 miles. We want to focus on X household income. Like that's where you can really get that hyper local community impact feel that you brought up in the beginning, and how we're able to scale it. So I would say like when a brand is like really tiny, so I don't think this applies to you, and they're just looking to sponsor one or two leagues, that's where we're not the fit. We're the fit when it's someone like you, right? Where it is, hey, we're looking to X amount of zip codes, right? Want to sponsor at scale these leagues. That's where TeamSnap really, really is able to come in and just execute on all of that for you guys. So I can walk you through a little more visual to help. Hopefully that gives a little more like bird's eye view of how it all. Um, but yeah, so within the app, you use it, right? So we have the normal standard placements, to drive awareness and impressions with the banners and double play. Of course, being a sports company, we're going to call it double play. But we have the home screen spotlight within the app. We do interstitial, we do native, some other placements we have, a few new as well. Obviously, we do video. We have rich media. We've added in app interstitial video. And we also do some integration. So the reason I bring this one up, where this comes into play with a lot of brands, like for example, speaking with Mattress Firm right now, and where they're trying to drive people to locations similar to what you mentioned, we have a couple different ways to do that. So number one, you could sponsor the Maps feature, right? Where they're hopping where practice is, where game is, to be able to sponsor that. But then we also have, and I guess I don't have it on this slide, so sorry, but it's where they're able to click through and find a location. So they're able to see the ACE home services, and it'll say find your nearest location. They're able to click on it and bring them right to Google Maps. So those are a lot of different ways that we're able to have placements to drive that awareness, right? To drive the consideration, to drive people to those locations. So that is, I guess, a little more visual as far as the digital side, and then I could get into that on-site part as well.
Yeah, I mean, what I like about the ones that you're showing, they seem, or the marketing really fits with the occasion. So like the DQ post game report, like, okay, kids might go to DQ as a reward, like after the game, or the AAA get directions. So I'd be interested if there was something like that, like a integration that felt so seamless with home services. Like if you showed the weather, what's the weather at the field today, presented by Ace Hardware Home Services Heating and Cooling, something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, would love the creative minds on where might an integration feel most natural.
Yeah, definitely. We obviously don't, want it to just be ads that pop up. We're always looking for new ways to integrate brands. We also just acquired another company called Mojo Sports. Mojo Sports, what was a really they were partnered with the NFL and all these sports teams. And what that part of our app now is able to do is that helps coaches be able to coach better, right? It has all sorts of content, live streaming video. So we're consistently, we're in the middle of figuring out how do we integrate brands into all of that. So definitely a lot more things coming down the line. But yeah, I love where your head's at, Elizabeth. I think that's something I can chat with my team about as well, now knowing that, hey, this is more of the home services side, to see where some things could potentially integrate. But any other questions digitally before I maybe give you some visuals of on-site to see if that would be helpful?
No, I think that's a good overview.
Perfect. And I think I have to click through a few here, sorry, but we also have a lot of different emails. A lot of these are more so national focused. So if it's like specific zip codes, that's where this might not come into play. Sorry, I just had this in my intro deck here, but a lot of different You know, I would say if when you guys are looking to scale this more, I think this could maybe just be something that we can grow into, you know, as we potentially grow a partnership, that we have all sorts of email offerings that could really drive to coaches, to parents, engagement. So a lot of things. Don't mean to throw it all at you, just had it here in my intro tech. Um,
Mhm.
so back to the onsite part, I touched on it a little bit, right? But what's really exciting here for Team Snap is you can see that number in the bottom right. Like we've given back over 12 million to these youth sports leagues. So when you talk about community impact, a little bit earlier, Elizabeth, this truly is that. Like we're gonna execute on it, but we're like Ace Hardware or Ace Home Services is the MVP. Like we want your name there. We want them knowing that, hey, you guys are sponsoring these leagues to help kids have the opportunity to play youth sports, right? Be able to give back to those leagues to help with equipment costs, registration fees. So that's kind of the bigger idea here, um, how these sponsorship dollars really go to work for you. So I talked about jerseys and game signage. You know, we have all sorts of assets, including warm-up shirts. And then I touched on this for a moment earlier, but just wanted to help you understand what this looks like. So essentially, I would say every brand that I work with includes this asset in their on-site sponsorships. Really what this is, it's allowing digital communication, but it's not coming to the parents from Team Snap or coming from Ace Home Services. We specifically, through our relationships with these leagues, are able to have the commissioners twice per league that you spot twice per season per league that you sponsor. So let's just say you're sponsoring, just throwing a number out there, 50 leagues, there'd be 100 communications going out in a season. And what that is depending on if it's usually, I would say email more, but really wherever they're most, wherever they're using most, whether it's email or social. And that gives your brand 100% share of voice, and it comes directly from the commissioner. So we really see some open rates of 50 to 80% due to the fact that, you know, you being a team youth sports mom, you know, something coming from the league, from the commissioner is usually about their kids. So this is a really nice digital offering email that comes with those on-site sponsorships. I think lastly, just to mention here as well, so we want to make sure you can measure your campaign, right? So there is a dashboard that you can have, Elizabeth, and you can share it with as many people on your team as you want. And this is essentially providing verification of these assets, right? So you're able to go on there, be able to see in real time kids that are wearing the jerseys with your logo on, those game signage, be able to track impressions. We also are able to have different brand lift surveys. And I think when I think of a brand like Home Services being so new with Ace, I think that we'd probably be able to see a lot of people who basically we survey them before and after the season. I'm sure we'd be able to see a lot of people who aren't aware of them before, and then we obviously want to help drive that by the end of the season to ensure a lot more people are aware of who you guys are. So
Yeah.
that's, oh, sorry, I was just going to say that that's a lot of talking on my part. So we got about 10 minutes left. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm just curious, any questions I can maybe help with.
Yeah, this is super helpful. Are you able to send the deck you presented? Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I know I was
Um,
flying through it, so I'll send it all to you after.
yeah, I think the biggest like question I have would be if I send you my list of zip codes, are you able to tell me, you know, how many zip codes you do have, you know, linkages to and sponsorships and then the pricing? I think those would be the biggest next steps.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to help you maybe understand how it works, right? So the easiest way would probably be like something that you could just fill out in 5 minutes, just like a targeting form, and you could
Mhm.
upload your zip codes or whatever it is that you're looking to target. And yeah, essentially we're able to put that in our system, be able to see, all right, this is how many leagues we can guarantee that we have coverage that we'd be able to, you know, sponsor for you guys. And then obviously it's up to you guys to say, hey, that's perfect, or hey, let's look at this many leagues or whatever it might be. But yeah, I'm more than happy to come back with like a proposal to give you guys something to react to. But before that, I guess I know we have about 10 minutes. Just curious, I know it's July here, everyone's fiscal year is different. Like, when is your guys' fiscal year? And like, what are you, when you think of something like this, what's the timeline look like for maybe being able to execute on something?
Yeah, I mean, our fiscal year ends in December, but we're in the middle of doing these rebranding. So we're investing, especially in the Philadelphia, New Jersey market, like right now. So it'd be something I'm guessing we like for fall sports is something we'd be interested in. Like, do you have fall sports sponsorships, especially in those areas? And then what do you have available over the next 12 months across all of the different zip codes.
Perfect. Yeah. So to give you an idea how that works, so digitally, it's no problem, right? To just hypothetically, we got a signed contract today, and creative, we could be on the app in a few days.
Yeah.
On-site is a little bit different, right? Knowing that we have to call these leads and make sure we lock, print, ship, all that fun stuff. So we're a little past the deadlines for fall. So our next one would be winter, which will be launching in November. But I think we're in a perfect spot right now because what could be possible that I think you and the team could potentially think about is like when you think of our busiest time in the app, it's really August through November, into December, and then obviously as we get to the new year. And then what a lot of brands do is really start introducing, creative and ads to these families leading up to the season. So in this example, right, you can have digital leading up to winter, and then you show up at the leagues in winter. So I would say we usually a lot of our deadlines for being able to execute is usually a couple months before. So like with November, think of a couple months before, we'd want to have everything locked down. However, even earlier would be better if we're looking to get digital as well. So is just based on all this, is there interest in both digital and on-site? Is there something sticking out to you more? I guess curious where you see the most value.
I think if we can find for digital, like, if, I have just the pricing, if we can find the right integration that feels really natural, like the same, like the way the DQ and the AAA did, I think if there's a good integration, I'm definitely open to the digital. And then I'm also really interested in that, the sponsorship and like what kind of rates you get and being able to do that at scale is something, yeah, I'm really trying to explore and understand right now. It's like, how can we better work that at scale? Because yeah, calling hundreds of towns is difficult.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we're talking. I will always let someone know if it's not the right fit. But I think based on everything you're saying, it sounds like you could really be a good fit to be able to help take that off your guys' hands and execute on what you're looking for. Is there, knowing that home services is newer to you, is there like even like a ballpark range of a budget that you can think of for something like this that obviously helps us? I don't want to we can scale so much, but I don't want to come back to you with, hey, we could do hundreds of leagues, right? Here's $1 million plan. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be show you something that doesn't make sense for you. So yeah, just curious if there's some ballpark budget you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tricky in not knowing exactly what you have, but I would say like, a couple $100,000 budget. Um, I don't, I think I am curious to see like what options you have.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think based on that, I think the easiest thing to help at least start giving you something to react to, give us a starting point, would be I can just shoot you over a targeting form. I think around, just for number's sake, let's just say you said a couple hundred, let's just say we said around 200,000. That could be a good place for us to start to show you in all the zip codes you provide us what is possible, what we can do. And I think that's going to be a good starting point for us, for at least you to be able to react to something, and then we could obviously go from there. But usually good to just start off on something that we recommend, and then we want you guys to see it. But at the end of the day, this is about building something for you, Elizabeth, right? Like we're going to show you what we recommend. We want all the feedback you have, and we want to put something together that works for you and your brand at the end of the day.
Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, send me the targeting form and we can go from there.
Perfect, perfect. I know you just have a couple minutes. Just curious as well, like, is there specific, like when you're looking at, and you and the team are looking at, hey, this is a really successful campaign. Like, what to you guys would you be looking for in success here?
Think if it was, I mean, campaigns like these are so often more brand awareness. So like I like the survey that you had, the pre and post brand awareness. I think that's really helpful, because we don't have great ways to measure brand awareness, like in general. I think the other piece, having like if it converts, if we actually get people calling in and booking, that's great. They're very not very often going to say, "Oh, I saw you on TeamSnap." So like in theory, like
Sure.
booked leads are what we care about eventually. It's like people actually calling and booking their service. But, you know, same with like billboards. People don't usually say, well, I saw you on the billboard, right? Like they
Yeah.
say, I found you on Google because they may have seen the billboard 7 times and then they saw you on Team Snap twice. And then when they have their AC goes out, they Google AC repair and they see the name they know and they call that, but they say, "Found it
Yeah.
on Google." So I don't know if that kind of answers like what I care about eventually is like people actually calling and booking leads. The way in which you measure something like the effectiveness of Team Snap might more often be in that brand awareness survey that you talked about with the free post.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Obviously, you're a business, right? It all comes down eventually the bottom line and driving those sales, but we understand the funnel, right? And I would say Team Snap is really, really focused on getting you in front of the right audience at the right time in a real unique way and really where families are in their happiest time of the week, right? You can speak to it with your kids. And I don't have kids, but my brothers and sisters, they all do, and all they talk about is their kids. So I know how important it is, and really we want to be able to get your brand in front of them, right? Be able to drive that awareness, consideration, and likelihood to choose, and just help you drive that down the funnel. And I would say as well, so we can definitely be able to put something together, with those surveys. And then digitally, what's nice is you are able to be tracking daily, weekly impressions, click-through rates, have unique URLs, different things like that we could make sure we're setting up to help drive all that for you. But I think definitely with the goal of community impact, with the goal of awareness and everything you're mentioning, definitely at the front here, it sounds like a really great fit and it's really exciting. On my part, I love when I'm talking with brands that are really looking to get in the community on the on-site sponsorships. I would say that's the funnest part of my job, being able to help give money back to these leagues. So really, really helpful. Thanks for answering all of that. I think, and you said Philly and New Jersey, right? So I know you said you'll have all those zip codes, Elizabeth, but is it a lot of different zip codes throughout those two cities? Or I know New Jersey's a state, but
Yeah, throughout Philly, a couple areas of New Jersey and like the Lehigh Valley. That's like one of the locations that we're currently rebranding. So, uh, maybe I would say like for that area specifically, like $100,000 maybe. And then we have other pockets of locations, like in Georgia, we have some locations. So like I'll send you the whole list of the locations. I have the heaviest interest right now, right this moment in that Philly, like New Jersey area. Uh, but like you said, there's like it takes some time to get to these, so I'm, interested in sort of things that you have to offer in the other locations.
okay, so potentially just we could be looking at, let's just say, if we put something together around 200,000, we put a good focus of that money in the New Jersey, Philly area, and then maybe there's some other pockets that we allocate some other dollars to, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's perfect. So I think once we get that from you, as I said, how it'll work is we'll get that. I'll put something together with the team. I'll come to you, show you, hey, these are the amount of leagues in this area that we can focus on. Here's in this area. Here's these impressions. Just really have a full breakdown. And it sounds like that should hopefully at least be a good starting point for us to be able to continue the conversation.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I'll look out for a note from you with the targeting form and I'll send that over.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll send it before the end of the day, and I will also send over this deck that I put together, and we will go from there. But I really appreciate the time, Elizabeth. In the last minute, I guess I'm just curious as well for these type of, this will just help when I work with the team for these type of campaigns. Is the approval process something that goes through a lot of different levels? Are you the main decision maker? What does that usually look like? I know we have a minute, so if you have to jump, let me know.
Yeah, I do have it 2:30. I think it'll kind of depend on the package that gets put together. So yeah, like I would definitely want to go through it, my manager and then some of the GMs that are like out in those areas to make sure, like they have the best understanding of which teams and which locations. So I would love to see what you bring back and then socialize it with some different people.
Perfect. Yeah, well, I know you have to jump. It will be a focus on like the leagues that you sponsor. So it'll be multiple teams all throughout the entire league. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, we'll dive into that more. I would say I will send all that over to you. Does it work to try to have a proposal the end of next week? I would say as long as I
Yeah.
get the targeting from you by maybe tomorrow or Monday, I can have something. Do you want to shoot for the same time next Thursday?
I'll be out of office next Thursday, but maybe on Friday.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know you have to jump, so I'll send over a time and confirm it via email. and I'll get everything over. Thanks so much for your
All
time,
right.
though, Elizabeth. I don't want to hold you over. So have a
All right.
great day.
Thanks, Robert. All right.
All right,
Bye.
see you. Bye.